And she would say that so-and-so fact, and she would say it with such anger and hatred. But the problem is, now she gets on television so sweet and innocent and go, oh, I love my son, and I would never say anything like that. And the public sees it and say, how can Toya go up there and lie? Toya's not lying.
You have not lived in the same house. You don't know what's gone on. You don't know what goes on. I don't have the liberty to speak about this matter at this moment. It's very, very wrong. I defend Michael. I stand up for him so much. You guys have no idea. If he was here, believe it or not, or if he was listening in, he would be very proud because he knows what I can say, and I have not spoken out.
I invite you to say he's innocent.
I want the best for Michael. You know what you're asking me? You're asking me something that I choose not to answer.
Okay.
And I have my reasons for it.
Okay.
And you guys should not say a word. The people that I hear sighing, you know why? You have not lived in the same house with me. You do not know what goes on in my house. You have not been there. If you were there and you know what goes on, then let me hear you say something. I think I'm being very, very kind. You don't know Michael from the man in the moon.
Okay, one more time.
How can you shake your head?
You're talking to me?
I'm talking to you. Yes, I am.
I don't know, Michael. You see, look at you. You've got no respect for no one. You can't even respect your own family.
I must tell you that this is very difficult for me, that Michael is my brother. I love him a great deal, but I cannot and I will not be a silent collaborator of his crimes against small, innocent children. And if I remain silent, then that means that I feel the guilt and the humiliation that these children are feeling, and I think it's very wrong. I have seen checks payable. And I don't know if these children were apparently bought to the parents by Michael or not. But I have seen these checks. And I've seen these checks through my mother. She's shown me these checks that Michael had written to these children, and it's for a great amount. And I'm not speaking pennies. The sums are very, very large amount. Very large amount. And this is my first time talking about it, and I never want to speak about it. I never want to say anything about it, but I think it's sad because I am a victim myself, and I know what it feels like. And these kids are going to be scarred for the rest of their life, and I don't want to see any more innocent small children being affected this way. I love Michael very dearly, but I feel even more sorry for these children because they don't have a life anymore. They don't. Stop and you think for 1 second, and you tell me what 35-year-old man is going to take a little boy and stay with him for 30 days, and take another boy and stay with him for 5 days in a room and never leave the room. How many would take little kids and do that are 9, 10, 11 years old? I love my brother, but it's wrong. I don't want to see these kids hurt. I've been hurt by it too. My father molested me sexually, and I don't like it. I don't like the way it feels. And to this day, this is my husband, and he can vouch for this. I will not have a relationship with him because of that. But I love him dearly, but I cannot. Perhaps one day I will come to terms with it, and I will be able to. But for now, I can't do it. And that's what I don't want to see happen to these little kids, because I know what it feels like in the heart. And it's a very sad situation. It really is. You have no idea what it feels like. Michael lived at home with myself and my mother, my father, and of course my other brothers are all older, so we were at home 15 years longer than the rest of the members in the family. And there were always little boys at the house. And they were not just a group of them, but it was always one at a time. Yes, and they would spend nights, and they would sleep in his room. Yes, but however, I must tell you, I was not in the same bed with them, so I don't know what went on in the bed.
There's been 2 major kidnap attempts on Toya that were stopped, that were paid and financed by Michael Jackson.
Toya is lying, and I'll tell her to her face she's lying. And she knows it. She's been brainwashed, just like she's saying that Michael's people are trying to kill her.
Of course she has to say that because, believe it or not, Michael supports my entire family. Not myself, but he supports Jermaine and everyone else. They all live at, financially, yes, they live at the house. So they have to say these things, otherwise he'll cut everything off and they won't have anything.
Toya Jackson called the Los Angeles District Attorney's office and she told them, my brother messes around with little boys and the whole family knows about it.
Much of what's coming to light, I think, in the show was invisible to the outside world at the time, and among them is the revelation that Toya Jackson was in communication with the Los Angeles District Attorney's office. We knew at the time, or later, after the show discloses, we knew that she and her brother were very much at odds. But I had no idea, anyway, that she was actively cooperating with the DA's office. I really didn't know who was talking to prosecutors, how forthright they were being, whether they were saying the same things to prosecutors that they were saying to the public or to reporters. And now, for the first time, we get a chance to see the record in 360 degrees in a way that was just invisible.
District Attorney Lauren Weiss and Assistant District Attorney Bill Hodgman, the prosecutors in the criminal case, were busy looking for leads and getting tips. Some of them anonymous, one from inside the Jackson family.
I had a phone call from first Jack Gordon, who was LaToya's husband, and then he put LaToya on the phone.
Former Deputy District Attorney Lauren Weiss.
I talked to him for about 5 minutes, and he wanted us to commit to not subpoenaing her, that she would talk if she wasn't going to be subpoenaed or taped. And I said, I can't promise that. I didn't tape the conversation. I just took notes. But I have the date of September 2nd, 12:20 in the afternoon. And so LaToya got on the phone, and basically what she said was that her mother, Catherine, knew quite a bit about what was going on. And I have a quote here that Catherine Jackson had said, "That boy is a fag, a damn fag." And LaToya told me that he had always young boys over the house, and this started at Havenhurst. And the boys that she saw with him were between 5 and 13. She said there were a lot of Jehovah Witness kids that, he would spend time with.
LaToya Jackson went on to tell Weiss that Michael would stay alone in his bedroom with children at Havenhurst for days on end, that food trays would be left outside the door by housekeepers.
She said that there were many checks written, that the mother saw the checks and showed checks to LaToya. And then she said she didn't know the year, but there was a boy whose father was a garbage man. And then I have the name Jimmy Safechuck.
As viewers of the 2019 HBO documentary Leaving Neverland will recall, Jimmy, or James Safechuck, accused Jackson of molesting him over a period of several years in his childhood, while simultaneously lavishing him with jewelry and taking him around the world. Jackson also, according to the documentary, gave money to Safechuck's parents. Safechuck spoke with authorities during the Jordy Chandler investigation, but told them Jackson had never molested him in any way.
And that he was not the first that got money like that. And she also, then she brought up another British kid with blonde hair and a turned-up nose by the name of Jonathan.
From 1984 to 1987, Michael Jackson was often accompanied by Jonathan Spence, a 10-year-old blonde boy who had went to school with Tito Jackson's sons. According to Diane Diamond's book, Jonathan's father was a screenwriter of some note who left the boy in the care of the Jackson family at Havenhurst so he could work in Europe. Jonathan began spending time with the younger Jackson nephews and took a shine to Michael. According to Diane Diamond's account in her book, throughout the fall of 1984, Jackson and Spence were often seen hugging and nuzzling.
Everybody on the set there was a video they were making, knew Jonathan.
But Weiss said prosecutors weren't able to speak with Jonathan Spence or with some of the other boys who had been seen with Jackson over the years.
So it appears from vocal tones, her behavior, her illustrators, an illustrator is the gestures you make when you speak, are consistent. She clearly believes that Michael Jackson was abusing children, and she's built that opinion on the checks that she's seen written to parents, and she's put two and two together and made a conclusion which could be true. It also could be wrong.
This is a huge step for her because she's stepping out of line with the Jacksons here. So she's threatening all of her family relationships, and for everything that they've achieved, everything that they've got materially, there's been a huge cost. They are a dysfunctional, very damaged family.
We should probably say that my parents don't speak to me. Let's put it that way.
Do you have any hope that one day there will be a reconciliation with your parents?
I think that the only way that could possibly happen if they would stop condoning child abuse.
Because this is Jimmy Safechuck. This is a little boy that comes over here, that stays with him, that stays in that room, and he locks himself up in the room with him, and he sleeps in the same bed with him. I said, sleeps in the same bed with him? And she goes, yes, what do you think they do up there, LaToya? Well, and she knows all this, and she knows it's true, and she gets on television and she lies. I'm not doing this for money, Larry. I'm sorry, Howard, you're not paying me.
So you've been living with this secret for a long time, and it's been eating away at you, right? And now that it's come up in the news, you've been waiting and waiting and waiting. Finally, you said, I can't take this anymore?
Well, it's not that I knew for sure, because I had never seen him in the act, so right. I cannot say. And like I said, I don't want to be a silent collaborator. That's why I'm speaking out.
Right.
But you know something is going on, but you don't know exactly what. Because it's too strange, it's too weird.
Do you think that... Do you think you'll be called up as some kind of witness in any of this?
Well, they've been trying to subpoena me for a while now.
Right. Well, so you'll have to come and testify, right?
I really don't care to speak about that. I wouldn't really want to testify.
Right.
I really wouldn't.
You absolutely have an obligation to say whatever you know, because if there is child abuse, you're doing the right thing. And I'm going to tell you something. If a brother of mine was a child abuser, the second I had a thought that he was abusing children, I would confront him. I would confront him. I would say, "Are you abusing children?" He'd probably say no. I'd say, "I suspect that you are, and I have to report you." Even though it's your brother and it kills you to do it, you have I think I can't certainly disagree with your decision to come forward.
I would be more suspicious of a guy if his sister did come out than to just start attacking the sister. I would say, let's take a closer look at this if his sister is saying these things. But everybody else just jumps on the bandwagon and says Latoya's a nut.
And you must understand, this was a hard decision for me to make.
Of course it is.
It was tearing me to pieces inside. And then for the public to do this to me, to denounce me for saying something that's
Well,
true,
I'm not denouncing you. I'm not denouncing you.
No, you're not.
That's
you're
right.
Not at all. But, that's what makes you so smart, simply because you understand and you know how painful and how...
I say let's get to the truth.
Stop.
Let's get to the truth
of it.
Well, for
And
people who think that this is a Johnny-come-lately story that you've just made up, this is not true. She has been grappling with this for a long time.
Yep.
Because she had mentioned it to me before.
Yep, she had mentioned it to us. And
let me tell you something, Howard and Robin. I'm going to tell you something. Like Corey said, Michael's nice and he gives to charity and all these things. Yes, he gives to charity and he's nice and he does all these things. But let me tell you something. Whenever there's a serial killer, what do you hear all the neighbors saying and everybody who knows him?
He was so nice.
Oh, he was the nicest guy in the world. He was so sweet, so kind. He would never do a thing like that. We're so shocked.
let me tell you, if you were here in the studio right now talking to me, I would be cuddling you and comforting you, as a matter of fact, and holding you while you said these things to make you feel better.
Thank you, because you know why? It hurts so badly, and I feel like I have to fight and scream to get my point across, and I shouldn't have to. This is not my predicament. Michael put himself in this predicament.
You felt obligated to come forward, and I applaud you for that.
And no, I'm not doing it for money. I haven't received a penny for it, and I'm sick of my mother saying that, and the rest of the world is writing off what she's saying. And she's the one. She's afraid the money is going to stop. That's her problem.
Well, Latoya, I want to thank you for calling in. When are you coming back? When are you coming back from Israel?
And for all those people who believe that he did not do it, I just so sorry, because you know why? When it's your children and it's your child, you better think twice.
All right. Thanks, Latoya.
All right. Goodbye.
What's the matter? You all right?
Yeah, I'm fine. It's just that when you tell me about these award shows, and it was...
It's upsetting. Well, it is.
Yeah, this is not an easy position to take.
No, it's not easy to do it.
It wasn't the easy thing to do.
I don't know why more people aren't interested in coming out to find out the truth. Of course we should
find out. They don't care about innocent children. They don't care about these kids that are being harmed and hurt and scarred for life. They only care about the fact that he's a star and we're not going to let this legend die.
So then you've done the right thing. Latoya, you've done the right thing.
I'm helping children.
You did the right thing.
I will always stand by
Then don't worry.
them.
Then don't even give it a second thought. You did the right thing, and you have to do what you think is right, okay?
Thank you for giving me that support. I appreciate it.
And all of a sudden, when you knock on Michael's bedroom door and you walk in the room, the child is entirely different. He's not the same little child.
Not the same innocent?
No, he's not the same little child anymore.
Was the glazed look a predatory look? Was it a look of, I am attracted to that one, I want that one?
I hate to sit here and say yes, but that's the impression I got. That's the impression I would always get, and that's the impression I didn't like, and that's what I didn't like seeing. And if you must remember, I wrote a book a couple of years ago because I wanted to put a stop to this, because I knew it would come to this, and I didn't want to see Michael hurt. I thought eventually perhaps he would stop this. But when you're raised like we were in a dysfunctional family, perhaps he couldn't stop. He had nowhere to turn. He was confused.
So in your heart of hearts,
but this
you believe...
totally changed. You have to remember, he was just playful and just whatever. Then you come in the room and he's like this all of a sudden. I go, what's wrong? What's wrong with you? Nothing. The same little boy that was jumping up and down in the bed and bouncing around and having fun and, oh, let's go to the candy store, let's do this and let's do that, was entirely different. You would see him sneaking there, looking around and running to the store after a while. That was part of the property when I say store, so they won't get the wrong impression.
Right, the private stock of candy and other
just
goodies.
a big store that had everything you ever wanted as far as candies for kids.
Okay, you say that at the age of 13 he then rejected the children?
That was basically the oldest.
And the youngest?
As far as 9 years old, 8 or 9 years old, from what I've seen at home.
Okay, from your own eyes, you are now saying, testifying in a way, that you saw your brother with 8 and 9-year-olds in his bedroom staying over night after night after night. You saw that?
Yes, and not coming out of the room. Yes.
Did you ever see Michael behave, other than the glazed look, the predatory look that you described, did you ever see him behave in an untoward or improper manner? Did he, for instance, fondle the children?
No, I've never seen him do that. No, no.
So you'd have to say you've never actually seen him molest a child?
I've never seen him do any of that. Absolutely not.
Why then are you so convinced in your heart that he's guilty?
Because of what I've seen, because of what I know, because of what my mother has done, because of what she showed me, because of things that she said to me about Michael that I refused to believe at the time. I refused to believe my mother. My mother actually was screaming at me one day, and I ran to the room. I thought something was wrong, something had happened, and she was showing me this check. And I said, yes, so what about it? And she says, well, look at it. And the check, of course, was a 1 and lots of zeros behind it. And she says, Latoya, this is $1 million. I said, so? She goes, but look who it's written to. And of course, at that particular time, it was written to the last name of the little boy that he was with all that time. But it was written to the father and not the little boy. It was in the father's name. And she called him a very bad name after that, Michael. She called him a very bad name. And there was another check behind that, and I said, Mother, please, let's leave. I said, we shouldn't be in here. I don't want to.
You were in Michael's room?
Yes, she was in his, actually, his closet. It was his closet.
And the two of you were in Michael's room, and she removed a canceled check and showed it to you?
She was in his closet, which is in his room, yes.
And you recognized the name?
Yes.
Don't tell us the name, but describe the person to whom it was written, the father.
I don't know the father.
Was he a show business person?
No. The father supposedly is a garbage collector. Or was a garbage collector, I should say, at that particular time. I told my mother, I said, Mother, you don't know why he wrote this check to him. Maybe they're having problems. I said, you have no idea. But she proceeded to call him a terrible name.
What was the terrible name?
She called him, excuse my expression, she called him an effing faggot. That's what she called him. And I said, Mother, don't say that. And she said, that's exactly what he is. He's always been that. And it makes you wonder, it made me think. But I didn't like when she said that, simply because I didn't believe that. However, if Michael is gay, there's nothing wrong with it. I see absolutely nothing wrong with it if he is gay. That's his lifestyle. That's what he chooses. But, however, there is something wrong with bothering little kids and molesting little kids, or spending so much time with them, yes.
And do you believe, Latoya, as you sit there, that your brother has been molesting little boys?
Geraldo, I have never seen him do it. I have never seen them in the act. But, deep down in my heart, I have to tell you, yes.